Hello, everybody, and welcome to Suzerain. This is a political thriller game that takes place in a not-so-fictional world. As you'll see when we get to the map, it sort of looks like North America, near the Great Lakes, and there are going to be some similarities between some of the states and some of the nations that we see, here on the Earth. But what are we doing today? We're going to try this game out. I want to give the Choo-Choo game a little bit of rest, mainly because there's no way to fail at that game. You can always make money. I really think that game is best if you play a lot of it, and then you're setting yourself certain goals, like we want to get this done by this day or by that day. So we give the Railroad Corporation game a little break. We're going to try this game. I watched Shinra play this on his channel. He played it for about 7 or 8 days in a row. He loved it. I thought it was interesting, so I'm going to give it a go and see how we do here. And one of the neatest things, I think, is that this game balances what is best for the people versus what the people want. You are my enslavement and my freedom. You are my flesh burning like a raw summer night. You are my country. Interesting. Very interesting. I got some water here that I'm going to be chomping down on. Kingdom of Sorland. You open your eyes to this world you came from. A wealthy family in the city, middle income family, and impoverished family. Let's say we came from a middle class family. Oh, look. This is our family history here. We're going to have to generate a character. My goodness, that's a lot of presets to go through. Your parents named you Anton. As the only child of a diligent civil servant, you lived quite an ordinary childhood. Life was not bad. You were lucky enough to attend a well-known public school, but frequent fights broke out. These made you feel uneasy. The years passed. That's Rain. Anton Rain. I feel like that's our name here. There you go. 1923, the formation of the Republic. During a history class at school, the bell started to ring unexpectedly. You heard a loud commotion outside. As everyone tried to figure out what was going on, the principal announced a historic revolution. The kingdom was no more. The Republic of Sorland was born. You did not fully understand. You were happy that you had the day off. You were somewhat worried. That's weird. You would think that we would have the parents being civil servants be like, oh, this is no good. These people are gaining momentum. Maybe it was a coup, and maybe it happened really fast. Let's say that we were worried. We were an anxious child. After graduating, you passed the university exam with high marks. You had the opportunity to choose between several studies. You chose law, economics, or history. Let's do history. I'm a huge history buff, so let's view this game somewhat through my lens, and we'll say that we studied history. During the first year, you attended a lecture with David. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, nor am I sure how to pronounce the last name. He was a well-known diplomat from a foreign ministry and the son of the president. Oh, wow. After observing the hall in silence, he explained why real politics is important for a successful foreign policy. I wonder if this, how they, what is that, perestroika? Is that what they called it? The Russians had perestroika, which I guess was like a propaganda ministry, and it was a movement. Like in America, I guess we'd have the anti-communist movement, and we'd have the capitalist movement, right? We've had different, like the Whiskey Rebellion. I would even say that was like a movement we had. I wonder if this is a way of dealing with foreign governments that this young man's father championed. There's something called Roman diplomacy, which you could see. I don't know what the area north of Turkey is called. I know the region is Anatolia. I thought it was called Ayatolia, but perhaps I'm incorrect. It's not the Balkans. The Balkans is to the west of Anatolia, northwest. But Roman diplomacy, you can see it in the chronicles of that area. north of Anatolia, where the Romans would come in, and the ruling class of that area, they had no contact with them. They refused in any way, shape, form, or fashion to talk to the ruling governments of those areas, and instead they found noble houses that had fallen out of favor, and they would talk those people up. They would invite those people to parties, and eventually they would become friends. And one night, after heavy drinking, somebody somewhere would often say, well, that's not how it used to be. Used to be my family ran so and so in that area, and we were honorable people, and our family was overthrown by the lies of these people. And the Romans would say, well, geez, that's bad. You know what? We should do something about that. So the Romans would back this new political person who, like I said, was from a fallen house. They would overthrow the legitimate government. They would install these people, and those people would be so thankful to be back in power, they would do whatever the Romans wanted them to do, right? They were pretty much puppets. But the Romans would never talk to the ruling government, because the Romans it didn't matter what they said. It didn't matter what deal they cut. It didn't matter how much they bent over backwards. The Romans didn't care. They knew how to get someone in their pocket. So I wonder if this realpolitik is something similar to that. He argued that a strategy based on practical and material factors would be much more successful in reaching Scourland's ambition. Of course, practical and material factors, absolutely. But you have to have your principles, right? You have to have some type of guiding compass. You can't just, the ends don't justify the means. So you agreed in principle. You questioned what you were being taught. Your only concern was passing the exams. What type of person are we? I think we just said it. We agreed in principle. Like, yes, that's a good idea. So we'll just say that right off the bat. Soldiers entered the campus in the evening ahead of the first election. Many were in shock as the uniformed men created a security cordon, and started arresting the teachers. A group of students started gathering in protest along with your best friend, Peter. You decided to, let's protest with the students. Why would they arrest teachers? One of the officers made a loud announcement that echoed through the campus. General Ludrin declared martial law in order to restore the administration. Please stand back and disperse to your rooms. You joined the students that slowly marched toward the large groups of soldiers. Suddenly, the soldiers charged. A student fell and was trampled as everybody started running away. Let's hold our ground here. The soldiers beat you relentlessly. It was a gloomy year. There's a great quote that says, enemies are the price of honor. So maybe we can apply that to this situation. Maybe we're just dumb. The coup split the students into two groups and caused frequent fights. The coup. So there was a coup. So there was a kingdom. Then there was a republic. And now there was a coup against the republic. I wonder if we're going back to the kingdom. Torture and imprisonment of any opposing voice became a daily routine in Deir. I don't know how to say that. You didn't want to stay idle, and you chose a human rights group, the student council, a political debate group. Let's do political debate because we were a history major. The dozens of debates helped you hone your oratory skills while also helping you grow your network. Even though the debates were pretty heated between different groups, you all grew from sharing ideas. In one of the meetings, Peter introduced you to one of his friends, Monica, who is a volunteer for the Shortest League of Women. You were immediately attracted to her. Let's just say beauty. Let's just be that guy. The politically charged environment led you to join the Red Youths, the Socialists, join the Young Swords, the Nationalists. Stay away from any particular political organization. let's see if we can toe the line, right? Let's see if we can't get assassinated our first year in office just by not playing favorites. The radio relayed that the communist general Ricard surrounded Lutheran and his troops, demanding their surrender. The communist general. See, this is what I understand. Shouldn't this be the Republic general, or did the Republic fall into two warring sides, the communist and Lutheran? They refused, and heavy fighting broke out across the country. You just couldn't believe it. The army was fighting amongst themselves. This was 1928. The clash escalated into full-blown civil war. The horrors made you isolate yourself for a while. Monica helped you cope, and love grew between the two of you. However, it was a difficult time for love, but the chaos must end. The charismatic Colonel, Arquin Soul, orchestrated a sudden coup and brought the end to the chaos. He wrote a new constitution and restored stability. The people saw him as a savior. He formed the United Sorland Party and ran as a presidential candidate in the first ever elections. You voted. You did not vote. Let's say that he was charismatic and we were taken in by it, right? We say we voted for the man. United Sorland Party, USP, won the election by a large majority. After graduation, you kept seeing Monica and noticed her interest to marry. However, a letter arrived from the military calling you to fulfill your compulsory service. It was time to serve your national duty. A devastating civil war broke out in the neighboring country of... These words are not real words. Wayland? I don't know. The distinguished mayor, not even, that's an I. I thought that was a lowercase L. I was like, it's not even uppercase. That's an I. Osif ordered you to lead your squad on a border patrol mission. It was a very cold winter night when you began marching out of German outpost. You could see your breath. This is going to change us this night. After several hours of marching through the heavy snows, or through the snowy hills, distant noises were heard. Visibility was too low to confirm the source. The squad crawled forward in formation and found a spot to observe. A group of refugees had made it beyond the border fence. You escorted them back. You let them slip through. We're gonna let them slip through. People over politics. You know what I mean? After the patrol, Major Lawrence arrived with anger and immediately relieved you of your command, calling you a disappointment. One of your squad members had reported your actions. After several months of scrubbing the floors as punishment, your duties ended and you went back to civilian life. So be it. Would you scrub floors for a couple of months if people got to live in your country, your country that was gaining stability? I think I would. You and Monica decided to share your lives together. After receiving the blessing of her parents, a ceremony was held in Holsword. I don't know. They need to fix these names. During the same... I'm sorry. Perhaps those names make sense to somebody who in a different country. I don't mean to be so. Anywho, during the same year, you worked hard to secure a high-paying job at the governing United Sorland Party. It was much more difficult to start your career on a good foot because of the refugee incident, but you still managed. Working for the ruling party was the easiest path to power. The financial compensation was too great to pass up. It was the best opportunity to change the country for the better. Oh, are we just going to be like a money person? Do we want power? Or are we trying? Let's go at this with a heart of gold. Like I said, we're trying to get shot our first year in office. You became the foreign policy assistant to one of the more experienced members of the assembly. You worked long and hard, staying late at work, reviewing dozens of foreign policy plans. You were climbing the ladder. That's not so bad to have a civil war in 1928, and then in 1933, you know, we're doing well. That's not bad. 5 years. Soul, this is the charismatic guy, remember? You know, it's so funny. There's a book called the Iliad, and apparently that book was told verbally like 500 years before paper was invented. So these people had to sit around a campfire and they had to tell this story from memory for 500 years, and then someone invented paper and they wrote it down. But apparently one of the ways that helped people remember and recall the story is they would say the noble Achilles. They would give him they would describe him somehow. So earlier when it said the charismatic leader, that helped it in my brain remember who this guy was. So there you go. Sol strengthened the Republic by removing the institutions and symbols of the former kingdom from society. That's pretty smart, actually. Things were also looking up for the country as a massive economic boom continued, and people were the happiest they had been in a decade. Election time came, and it was decided. Was elected once more. Well, this guy sounds pretty good. The preparation of the most comprehensive trade agreement with Angola was occupying most of your personal time, but your significant contribution to the trade talks triggered an invitation to meet the President Sol himself, who offered you a key position. You were to become the youngest member of the Assembly. Accept right away. This is what we wanted to. We wanted to change the world. We were ready. As the youngest MP, it was difficult to connect with the influential inner circle. You needed allies, so you brought Peter as your right-hand man. The birth of your son Frank provided you a brief moment of joy and relief. You sacrificed work to spend time with your family, sacrificed family to improve your position in the party. I got a coin here in front of me. Got a coin here. We got this from a trip we went on. There's a shark on one side, and there's a picture of the aquarium on the other side. So let's say aquarium is time spent with family. It is the aquarium. So we sacrificed work to spend time with the family. What was all that work in college for? Huh? What was that beating that we took from those soldiers, if not to spend time with our son and educate him on what it means to be a man, right? If you ever are hungry, thirsty, and you're like, man, I want a Coke or a slice of pizza, do yourself a favor and just have a nice cold glass of water. Your body will thank you. Anytime you need anything, water. During your absence, Peter found trustworthy contacts and strengthened your position in the party. Good job, Peter. At the same time, President Sol increased his authority over the years. His growing ego started to cause strife within the party. Oh, yes. There's a saying that I got from the books Dune. I don't know if they came out and said it specifically in Dune, but I took it from it and made it if they didn't specifically say it. If you want to destroy somebody, give them everything they want. If you want to destroy somebody, give them everything they want, and they will eventually implode. President Sol barely secured a majority in the election against the opposition leader. Over the past year, people were growing discontent with the corruption and the worsening of quality of life. Meanwhile, calls for a United Sorland Party Congress became louder as leadership struggle started to brew. As a leadership struggle started to brew, you watched from the sidelines, kept supporting the president, joined the internal opposition. Well, if he's seizing more power and his ego is an issue, we're going to join the opposition. You gave your support to Ewald, Alpenhunds, Edward. Yeah, you're Edward. A reformist and talented business magnate who was a main contender for party leadership. Meanwhile, in a desperate effort to secure votes before the Congress, President Sol was meeting party members one by one. But he didn't approach you. Of course not, because we joined the opposition against him. He knew not to waste his time. The party Congress was nothing short of impressive. The banners of United Sorland were decorating every post, every possible spot. Thousands of influential political figures, lobbyists, benefactors gathered for the turning point. The voting for the party leadership began. You voted for Edward. We always vote our conscience. Look at that. We're almost done, too. Yes, we've only been at this for 20 minutes. The efforts bore fruit as the contentious leadership vote was won by Edward. During the Congress, Sol announced his retirement from politics. You knew the structure he had established was to stay. The country had become increasingly authoritarian. You were happy that Sol was finally leaving, were troubled by the departure of Sol, didn't care who was in charge. I was happy he's finally leaving. Things were too authoritarian, his ego was too big. It was time for the country not only to be stable, but also to grow, right? A month later, your daughter was born. Yay! Monica named her Anna. She motivated you during a tumultuous period in the party. The general elections were approaching. The United Sorlin Party was under the new leadership of Edward. You joined the party effort and campaigned for him. Did your best not to help him. Well, come on, man. Like, why did we vote for him if we don't want to help him? During the general elections, the main opposition leader was embroiled in a sex scandal with his secretary. Damn. He was replaced by the strong opposition figure, Ferns Richter, but the damage had been done. Ugh. It's when it says the main opposition leader. Is this our guy? Is this Edward? The main opposition leader was embroiled in a sex scandal. Oh, maybe no. This is, okay, the extensive privatization program proposed by Edward secured an elected victory over the United States. All right, over the next. Okay, so I see what happened. So inside the party, this guy overthrew Sol, and then there was an opposition leader who was caught banging a secretary, so he was replaced, and then this Richter guy and Edward, they squared off, and Edward won. Okay, and there's an extensive privatization program, so we're going to be taking over businesses. Okay, so over the next years, what did we do? We did our best to a better place, right? All necessary to climb up the ladder, dedicate yourself to the party and its success. We did our best to make this Sorlin a better place. The presidency of Edward saw many bold reforms, but was followed by a serious economic recession. The other parties announced their bids for the 1953 election, but the unfair system hampered all opposition efforts to win. Okay. So the economic recession hit us. This guy was supposed to be a business magnet too. Edward was a business magnet, so this shouldn't have been his deal. But apparently we would not have won that, or Edward would not have won that, unless the system was unfair. We're worried about the economic recession. Let's worry about the economic recession, because that's going to impact the most people. Together with Peter, your presence in the USB grew, and you became the face of a new wing of the party. You effectively took over the leadership as president. Edward lost control of the country. The moment to make a move had come. You blamed for the crisis on television. You bribed and extorted his inner circle. You advised, yeah, we'll just tell him to step down. Look, man, this got bigger than you, right? He didn't take your advice seriously and started to reshuffle his cabinet, but most of his inner circle abandoned him. Your diplomatic attitude made the party vote you in as the leader. Following this, you announced that you would be running for president in the general election with Peter as your running mate. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Those are our last things. Here are the elections. After visiting every city in town during the campaign, you made a speech on television, and you promised to enact democratic reforms or to preserve national values. Oh, see, this is what I was saying. Like, do you want to do what the people want, or do you want to do what's best for them? Because, democratic reforms are good, but only if the people are informed and engaged in politics. If you have an apathetic core of citizens, then small individuals will be able to, influence how things are going, and it'll come off like there might be 10 people in a room and 6 of them don't even vote or care, and then somebody talks 3 people into voting one way, or pays them or buys them off or something. So then on TV it says a majority of the people have voted that kicking puppies is okay, and the 6 people who didn't vote are like, geez, the majority of the people? I don't think kicking puppies is okay, but apparently the majority of the people do, so I better step in line. I better start saying, yeah, you gotta go kick those puppies, you know? And it wasn't even the majority to begin with, right? But then again, preserve national values. If the national values don't work and you lead to more recession, then you don't need to have police or the military standing in front of you saying, oh, no, you can't do this, because it would mess with the national values. You know, you can't do this or that. Like we let those immigrants through, those refugees, we let them in, even though that's not a national value, right? Like we got yelled at for that. We're gonna do what Benjamin Franklin said it when the articles of perpetual motion were done away with. I forget the name of them. What were they? It was a predecessor to the Constitution. I forget the name of it. But anywho, Benjamin Franklin had written that, or helped write it, and that was the first form of government we had. It was the something in perpetual union. And then they met again, and they drafted something else. And apparently someone had asked while he was coming out of the room, what type of government did you give us? And he said, a republic, if you can keep it. Meaning that to keep a republic, you have to be involved and you have to know what's going on. So we're going to do this. We're going to give the people a democratic republic, but let's see if they can keep it. The people are tired of empty promises. We need fundamental changes in our institutions and government. A solid and transparent democracy awaits us. Brothers and sisters, a new constitution and a new age is upon us. The broadcast ended. On election day, millions went out to cast their vote. It was time to face the truth. It was a goat. Did you see that? Did you see that? The coat of arms for our country was a goat. I clicked on it too quick. It was a goat. There we go. That's chapter 1, President Reign. We're at 30 minutes. Oh, this is our guy here. He looks like Shaquisha. If you don't know who Shaquisha is on Twitch, go watch Shaquisha. This looks like him. But we're at 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, and then we'll start the second one, with us actually starting to play the game. In this menu is where we're going to be for the entire time. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Thank you for watching. And if you want the Choo Choo Train back, just put in the comments, where Choo Choo Train, and I will be more than happy to get the Choo Choo Train back. I thought this would be fun just to take a little break from it. But I'll see you in the next one.